The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Plus. I'm Shweta Kothari. We're bringing you stories from the world of business, policy and economy. First up, let's begin with headlines. Indians lost around 10,300 crore rupees in cybercrimes since April of 2021, while agencies managed to block only 1,127 crore rupees as per Indian Cybercrime Coordination Centre. 15.56 lakh cybercrimes related complaints logged in last year alone. RERA directs real estate developers to sell units on carpet area basis, says there is no justification for super area. Woman passenger claims finding a worm in sandwich on board IndiGo. Airline served notice by food safety regulator. Airline says will be responding appropriately. And Gautam Adani is back to being the richest Indian after Supreme Court relief. Adani Group companies added around 64,500 crore rupees to their market cap in a single day. And ISRO to use Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket to launch heavy comms satellite. India Space Research Agency could use SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket to launch a 4.7-ton communications satellite. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg sells $185 million through trading plans. Meta CEO Zuckerberg sold 682,000 shares as of November of 2023. Majority of the shares were sold through and acquired as a part of the founder's stock purchase back in 2004. All those stories right here on Newsline. With me is Kartik Malhotra. Kartik, hi. A very good morning.
Good morning, Shweta.
The biggest story, in fact, we are tracking at this hour came by the way of what is happening in India as far as cybercrimes is concerned. It is a continued problem. We're now given to understand nearly 10,300 crore rupees were taken away from people's bank accounts, of which only 1,100 crore rupees could be secured. This as per government data.
It's a mammoth number, Shweta, and obviously it accentuates the problem of cybercrime even further. We've known that cybercrime and these petty crimes using UPI, using OLX, using some of these online shopping and bank KYC platforms has been a problem for Indians. But 10,300 crore rupees from 1st April 2021 till the end of 2023 is obviously a fairly large number. Now, what is really going on here? If you look at the rise of cybercrime, jog your memory back to about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It all started with Nigeria-based cyber criminals using email hacks as a way to get into your computer, and from your computer get access to all your data. Now, over time, that shifted to local players in cities like Jamtara and Deoghar, as well as Haryana's Nu, as well as Bharatpur. So these became the hotbeds of or hubs of cybercrime. And now the game is shifting again outside of the shores of India, this time not to Africa, but to countries within Asia. So you've got Cambodia, you've got Myanmar, and you've got China. Now look at the data again. From a 4.5 lakh registered cybercrime cases in 2021, the figure more than doubled to about 9.6 lakh cases in 2022. In 2023, those cases have gone up to about 15 lakh odd cases. So we are adding on an average about 5 lakh new cybercrime, reported cybercrime cases every year. And 10,300 crore rupees is obviously a very, very large number. Now, what is the government doing? What can the government do? And what are the policy tightening that may be required is one part of the debate. The other part of the debate is that if you have been a victim to cybercrime, is the onus on the banks from which the money was siphoned off to repatriate that money back to you? I mean, sometimes it is foolishness of the consumer, sometimes it is lack of education or understanding at the part of the consumer, and sometimes it is just cyber criminals pretty much outsmarting you no matter how high your intellect is.
Absolutely.
And who is held accountable in this whole siphoning off of money? And eventually, should banks be able to pay that money or be compelled to pay that money back to you is the second part of the debate. So I think it's definitely a very, very serious issue for consideration.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a two-pronged problem. First is, of course, the awareness part of it. And the second, as you rightly mentioned, it appears that people who are trying to extract that money from you are increasingly getting very mischievous and smart. They're outsmarting not just the people who may not be aware of what to do and what not to do, the protocols of operating online, but also people who are extremely smart, the way they are progressing with siphoning off or taking out money from your bank accounts. But, my concern at this point in time is not so much about banks trying to repay the customers, but what are they really doing about blocking this money? Because the data suggests that of the 10,000 crore rupees, upward of 10,000 crore rupees, only 1,100 crore rupees could be blocked.
10% of the money blocked. And this 10% of the money, because it was blocked, because it was prevented from going outside the shores of India, was repatriated to the users.
So we don't know how much money actually came back.
I mean, this entire 1,100 crore rupees worth is something that they have been able to block from getting siphoned off. So the understanding is that this 1,100 crore rupees has been repaid to the customers or repaid to those who have been defrauded of, of these cyber crimes. Now, the bigger challenge really is how do we tighten our policy mechanism and how do we tighten, let's say, rules on platforms like OLX, which is one of the hotbeds of cybercrime.
Absolutely.
Now, what really happens, or even online booking sites for that matter, what really happens is you've made an online booking, and we have discussed these cases in the past, in fact, last year itself, that you've made a certain booking on an online travel aggregator's portal, and you receive a call from somebody who's got access to your booking, asking you that instead of paying at the point of delivery of that service, why not scan this QR code or why not log into your UPI and make this booking amount right now? I'm going to give you a 10% discount. But that person does not belong to the online setup, right? So at one level, we are talking about data protection. Why are we allowing online players to leak this data to the frauds out there who want to siphon off this money from gullible customers? At the other end, there are platforms like OLX. And OLX has this very bad tendency where anytime you want to purchase something or you want to sell something, you list a particular item or you see something that you want to buy, you make a phone call, it seems to be an incorrect number, and that number belongs to a fraudster sitting somewhere in India or outside India who's getting you to log into your UPI account or a digital payment platform and make a transaction which is seldom for the actual good. So the problem really lies at the heart of, despite digital data protection bill, etc. being passed, the problem really lies with this ease of access to data and this ease of listing on online portals and really being able to defraud customers. That is something at a grassroots level which needs to be attacked, number one. And number two, of course, is being able to track where these mischievous calls are coming from and where was that SIM really purchased from. So I4C has said that they have a new software now called Priyatam or something, which helps the cyber cell understand exactly which geographic location was that call made from, and basis the number from which the call came, where was that SIM procured from. And using that tool, using that software, they've been able to arrest about 450 odd people in the Jamtara and Deoghar districts. But 450 cyber criminals booked for 4.5 lakh crimes in 2021, 9.5 lakh crimes in 2022, and
Not
15
enough.
lakh crimes, reported crimes in 2023 is definitely not enough.
Not enough at all. But the numbers there pointing to a growing tendency of cyber criminals to get increasingly inventive, as they say. And the number, not just doubling over the course of last 2 years, but adding additional 5 lakh complaints annually means that the number could be much higher in
Absolutely.
days and months to come. Perhaps a year to be more careful about and of cyber criminals. As far as last year is concerned, about 10,300 crore rupees worth of money taken away from people's bank accounts. In fact, since April of 2021. But moving on to a story that is going to bring some sort of cheer perhaps for potential home buyers in UP. UP RERA has now stated very categorically that if you are selling a flat, and especially to developers and people looking to sell out their inventory, you will only have to sell flat on the basis of the carpet area and not on the basis of super area. This could mean that people will perhaps have to pay little less now for the same flat that they were hoping to purchase perhaps a year ago?
Not necessarily, Shweta. So what really happened is, ever since RERA came into existence in 2026, it is pretty much the real estate authority, right? It is
Absolutely.
a regulator of the real estate sector. And ever since RERA came in, I think one of the first initiatives taken was to attack this concept of super area. Now, what is super area? Super area is basically you buy a house which, according to the papers, is worth 2,000 square feet. But when you look at the house, or when you measure it really, the actual available area could be about 1,500 square feet. So what is this additional 500 square feet, which is called the super area? This 500 square feet could be that little alcove as you enter your house, outside your door, which is pretty much your property, where you can put your plants, or you can put a shoe rack, or you can put a welcome mat, but that is not technically within the walls of your house. Or a balcony of a certain size, which is not technically within the walls of your house, is all constituted as as super area.
Right.
In fact, if you're living in a towered society, then even the 3 lifts in your tower divided by the number of houses in that tower get attributed to you as part of your super area. So a 2,000 square foot house sold at, let's say, 6,000 rupees per square foot will actually give you just about 1,500 square feet of your own, indoor of your own house. Now, finally, I think UP RERA has now come and added the term illegal to the super area, saying there is no justification for super area being charged to customers, and whatever disclosures are made and whatever negotiations are made and deeds are signed
on the basis of the carpet area.
will have to be made on the basis of
Does
carpet
this not
area.
therefore mean that it could be cheaper for people to now be buying the same flat?
I would like to hope so. I would like to hope so, but let's not forget, builders are also smart, so they are going to then give you a certain rate for the carpet area and categorically mention what the carpet area is, and then tell you, if you want a house with a bigger balcony, that's going to cost you so much. If you want in a particular tower where there is a bigger lift or there is a bigger common area, that is going to cost you more. If you want to live, in any case, there are these preferred locations. If you're on the first floor, second floor of a high towered society, for example, you end up paying more. That is the location preference that you seek. So I think they're also going to get a little more, inventive, since you use that term, about how they really, fleece the customer one way or another. But I think a home buyer buying a 2,000 square foot house now will be assured that at least the livable area within the house is 2,000 square foot and not even 1 square foot lesser than that.
All right. So as far as buyers is concerned, they can rest assured that they will not be fleeced, at least in the name of super area.
That's right.
Because UP RERA has now categorically said there is nothing called like a super area. It has to be carpet area. So every time you're looking to buy that house, be wary of how and what terms and terminologies you're being sold as far as inventories and as far as sellers is concerned. So super area is not what you're going to get, but in fact carpet area only. And with that, it's time for a quick break. We'll be back in just a bit.
It was my 14th birthday On birthday, daughter waits
home missing father.
He was carrying a cake for his daughter.
49-year-old Birmingham-based
Indian diplomat vanishes.
He was grabbed and bundled into a car by 4 assailants.
KLA claims responsibility. Demands Kashmiri separatists.
Maqbool Bhatt's release.
Goli maro, or feck do.
And within 3 days, they shot him dead.
Abducted diplomat.
Found murdered in Leicestershire.
I said, who ordered to kill him? To me, he said, yes, I ordered it.
And he never came home.
Stop searching. Start streaming. Download the world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus. Ahead of the curve.
Pakistani spy agency ISI's sinister plan to target India. Training women to honey trap top civil and military officials. Counter honey trapping ops initiated by India. But gullible victims still caught in the web. Top military intelligence experts break down the web of deception. Colonel Hani Bakshi explains the phenomena of honey trap.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who's making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person.
Colonel Pavitran Rajan decodes the psyche of the victim and the predator.
But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
A News 9 special on how modern technology has added teeth to the ancient spying tactic.
Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. The story that we're tracking at this hour comes from IndiGo, the airline known for its speed, known for getting to the passengers on time and getting passengers to their destinations on time and commanding one of the biggest market share in Indian airline space. However, it is in the news for wrong reasons this morning, and that is one of the passengers traveling in an IndiGo flight has shared images of how she found a worm in her sandwich. the image that you can see on your screens at this point in time, and also in fact screams of hygiene and the lack thereof. Karthik, not going to augur very well for IndiGo. IndiGo has now been issued a show cause notice by FSSAI, the Food Safety Regulator of India. What does this mean for IndiGo going forward, apart from the fact that people are not going to trust the food that it serves?
Well, yeah, that is of course a serious concern for IndiGo, but it really happened on the 29th of December. Khushbu Gupta, a food influencer on Instagram, posted this video that we are seeing right now on a flight from Delhi to Bombay on board an IndiGo aircraft, and the sandwich that she ordered had a worm in it, alive or dead, I don't know, but in any case it pretty much looks like a vegetarian sandwich. So that is a second concern. In a vegetarian sandwich you've got a live worm, which pretty much makes it non-veg, but that is in a lighter way. And I think the larger challenge is definitely about food safety. What are you serving to your passengers? What is the hygiene being taken care of? And the airline obviously has to be pulled up and has been pulled up by FSSAI. And FSSAI has now issued a show cause notice to IndiGo, which IndiGo is in receipt of as of yesterday, 3rd of Jan, where within 7 days IndiGo has to respond to FSSAI, suggesting, or in fact rather advising FSSAI on why its license should not be cancelled. Now I think a small worm may not be that big a deal to cancel the license of an airline which commands the largest share of market in India, but obviously it is a wake-up call for IndiGo. It is a wake-up call for the catering services that IndiGo gets on board, to ensure that going forward, whatever its response in the show cause notice would be, I expect it will be a serious apology and nothing more than that. And it is going to state that it does take quality very, very seriously and maintains its hygiene, and there are enough checks and balances, and yet a situation like this has arisen, which it is apologetic for. I'm assuming that is going to be the larger response that will come from IndiGo. But even if there is a fine, even if there is a penalty on IndiGo, it still definitely serves as a wake-up call for IndiGo, for aviation companies across the board, and pretty much the entire food supply business to to really understand and take notice of the fact that such incidents are real and present and are actually happening. So a very stringent control will have to be put in place to ensure that something like this does not happen. And I think for customers out there, anybody who's ordering food, making food, in fact,
careful of what
around Christmas last year, 2023, there was a story which came out in international media that a Chinese national was found with as many as 6,000 worms, tapeworms, in his brain. And this, of course, does not necessarily seem to be a tapeworm. It doesn't. It is really visible and it is fairly large. Looks more like a caterpillar than a tapeworm. But I think these incidences of lettuce leaves not being washed properly, not being washed thoroughly, etc., are resulting in such cases even here in India, which definitely is a serious problem.
And it's a worm that you can see on the bread. So I'm not very sure if it's a matter of cleanliness or whether the bread is stale. But all in all, IndiGo says it has taken note of the notice it was served by Food Safety Regulator of India after that video went viral. It will be responding appropriately. Hopefully an apology will be in order, but perhaps to take measures that can prevent such incidents from reoccurring and ensure safety of the food that is served on board IndiGo, at least for now. But moving on to a story that has caught the eye of the nation since yesterday, and that is Gautam Adani and his companies. The 10 listed companies not only added over 65,000 in market cap yesterday after a major relief from Supreme Court, but also announced their succession plan. In a way, succession plan, come to think of it, before we jog our memories to what really happened yesterday by the way of that Adani-Hindenburg order that came from Supreme Court, in a way clearing all the essential legal hurdles that Gautam Adani was looking to face or could face potentially as a part of the ongoing legal challenge. Immediately after that, in fact, even before that, at the start of the trading session yesterday, we saw almost all Adani Group companies stock in the green, profit booking taking place towards the end of the day. But overall, over 65,000 crore rupees in market cap added, which is and has made Gautam Adani one of the richest men. In fact, the richest man in the country as of yesterday.
Absolutely. So I think for the first time since 23rd of October, because 23rd of Jan, because 24th of Jan 2023 is when the Hindenburg research report came came out and we saw massive selling of the Adani Group stocks. It's the first time since last year that Gautam Adani has pipped Mukesh Ambani and has become the richest Indian once again. In fact, the net worth of the Adani family now stands at 9.37 lakh crore rupees against 9.28 lakh crore rupees of the Mukesh Ambani family. So Gautam Adani, post the Supreme Court verdict, is back to being the richest Indian. The market cap, like you said, 64,500 crore rupees added to the market cap of the 10 listed Adani Group firms. And incidentally, it was just yesterday that Gautam Adani also announced Karan Adani, his son, to be the managing director, elevating him from the position of CEO of Adani Ports and SEZ Business to the post of managing director. And Gautam Adani himself has now become the executive chairman of that company. So three major turning points, in fact 4 if you were to look at the biggest turning point, which was the Supreme Court verdict. So 4 major turning points for Gautam Adani yesterday. Supreme Court saying that the case is not going to be transferred to SIT, SEBI given 3 months to complete its investigation, present its report. Then of course Gautam Adani's group companies adding, all stocks rallying, adding about 64,500 crore rupees in market cap. Gautam Adani becoming the richest Indian and Karan Adani becoming the MD of Adani Ports and SEZ.
Absolutely, tides have turned for Gautam Adani in a matter of 24 hours. In fact, a tweet that he put out yesterday calling it a win for the truth and of the truth, and also suggesting that Adani Group of companies, Adani Group will continue its contribution to India's growth story. Humble contribution to India's growth story. Essentially looking at it as a relief for India, not just Gautam Adani. And as you rightly mentioned, this essentially means that the probe in the Adani-Hindenburg case will continue for the next 3 months, post which perhaps SEBI will finally come out with its investigation and in a way either exonerate Gautam Adani and his group of companies or prove some of those charges. At least it will be clear in a matter of next 3 months. That's the hope. Hopefully, right now. But before we end this bulletin, good news coming in as far as India's Space Research Organization is concerned. It will be launching a comms satellite very, very soon and using SpaceX for it.
Interesting, isn't it? I think the turn of events ever since India privatized its space sector in the year 2020, there was this offshoot of the ISRO, in fact, a Government of India subsidiary called NSIL, which is New Space India Limited, which was tasked with the job of catering to the demands of communication satellites being built and launched into outer space. Now, the latest in its launch plan is a 4,700 kg or a 4.7 ton satellite, which is going to serve a few purposes. Number one being providing broadband services to remote areas within India's geography. And this incidentally also includes the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So Andaman and Nicobar Islands is going to get broadband internet speeds up to 48 gigabytes per second with this new GSAT 20, which is now being renamed as GSAT N2, which is likely to be launched in the second quarter of this year. Now, because it is a 4,700 kg satellite, ISRO's own GSLV Mark III satellites have a capacity of only 4,000 kgs, which can be taken outside of the Earth's orbit, and it falls short of about 700 kgs. The other option available to ISRO was to use the French carriers, which have the capacity of up to 10 tons, 10,000 kgs. But that seems a bit excess for a satellite that weighs 4,700 kgs. So the next best option is the Falcon 9 by SpaceX, which is, of course, an Elon Musk company, which is going to use the Falcon 9 to which has a capacity to carry 8,300 kgs to carry this 4,700 kg satellite into outer space, which is going to serve broadband to remote corners of the country, provide for in-flight communication, not perhaps for us, but no, I mean, yeah, it could be satellite internet as well, but in-flight communication, air-to-air, air-to-ATC, etc., and maritime communication as well.
So it's a boost to also SpaceX in a way, and for Elon Musk, who's been looking to enter India's satellite communication business for a while now.
Right, absolutely. It is definitely good news for Elon Musk, and it's also India sort of opening up, reducing its reliance on existing players like the French or other American players, and really looking at private companies to participate in our own space ambitions and space-related exploration or communication initiatives.
All right, so good news there. I think it's a good collaboration between ISRO and SpaceX. We'll have to get you more details of as and when we have more ideas and more details on that collaboration. But for now, it's a wrap on this show. Thank you very much for watching.
India's most high-profile prison, the Tihar jail, is now the headquarters of the country's most notorious crime syndicate. Lodged within these walls is a man who was once a rising student leader, a national-level athlete, and an aspiring politician. Today, he's India's most dangerous gangster. You know him as Lawrence